I've rarely seen the Smash Bros community as united as it is right now. There seems to be this excited energy that's spread throughout a group of people who often seem to be at each other's throats for one reason or another, and it's not very hard to see why. Smash Bros Ultimate has done a lot for a lot of different people, and it's well on its way to leaving a lasting impact on this historic franchise. It'll never last though, which is why I don't feel bad making a video about some of the shittier things that Smash Bros has done and been in the past. Everyone's riding this huge wave of positivity. Me raining on their parade is just a drop in the ocean. And Smash Bros has done some stupid things in the past, there's no getting away from it. You can't get to such a high standard of quality without tripping over a bunch of stupider ideas on the way, and hopefully learning from them. It seems like Nintendo have reached another peak with Ultimate, and perhaps it'll be useful to look back on 2 decades of Smash Bros from a constructively negative standpoint. Do I need to justify being mad? I haven't needed to before. Smash Bros games have consistently been some of the best games on their respective consoles, so when I am finding faults and problems, they do pale in comparison to the overall picture and don't usually do anything to ruin it. Also, I don't have too many issues with Ultimate, so don't think this is super reactionary or anything. I'm gonna leave that to far angrier people than me. I don't want too many of these issues to be seen as petty. Like I said, these games are generally really good, so when there's something about them that I don't like, it typically doesn't matter all that much. Which is why we're starting off by looking at Smash 4 and thinking, damn, these menus look like shit, don't they? Yeah, I've seen Relax Alex's video, and so should you since he's got a point, for as trivial a complaint as it is. I mean, these menus are terrible, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over them. That'd be a very strange thing to do. So I think the sign of a bad layout for your menus is trying to find things having not played a game for a while. Brawl is intuitive and will lead you where you need to go, whereas Smash 4 is like, hey man, do you want to play some Smash Tour? No, I don't want that. I hate you. I'll get back to you later, in fact. It's disorganized, hard to navigate, and with some very important things like options, for example, hidden away behind sub-menus, and I'm not sure if there was a need for all of this when Brawl was so good. Why would you overcomplicate things like this? A menu shouldn't be hard, it should be clear, it should be concise, and you've done this weird abstract art project. Why would you do that? Clearly all the budget went towards designing Brawl's menus and they ran out for the actual fighting. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, what are you gonna do? As far as sequels go, Smash Bros. Melee is pretty spectacular. It made a lot of changes to the N64 game that are, at this stage, almost universally accepted to be positive additions that help to transform the franchise into this larger-than-life collection of the best parts of Nintendo's history. Smash 64 had some sweet extra modes, but I distinctly remember spending many days of my childhood working through everything that Melee had to offer. Except for Cruel Melee, because I wanted to enjoy playing this game. I've been noticing that Smash Bros. Ultimate seems a little more punishing when you make mistakes at a high damage percentage. Like, you make a small miscalculation and you're blasted off the stage for it. Cruel mode is a lot like this, but without the need for a high damage percentage. Which is really dumb. I feel like I may have more patience than most when it comes to appreciating genuinely unfair video games, but I emphatically draw the line at the various different cruel modes that have been added to Smash Bros. Games. I used to really enjoy working through 100-man Melee since it struck a fun balance between endurance and technical skill, but the cruel modes felt like a step too far. Every AI character has been tuned to be this hyper-aggressive monster who can launch you off the screen in a heartbeat since your knockback has been drastically increased. So it's supposed to be cruel and unfair and just a little bit impossible to survive via conventional means, which is always a good sign. Instead, high scores are obtained by exploiting faults in the AI programming and cheesing your way to an unrealistically high total. I imagine this was the intended way to do it, but I'm not sure I feel comfortable knowing that a developer added a mode where you'd be forced to use exploits to make progress. They've brought it back every time after Melee, and I have no idea what their game is here. Are we here just to suffer? Hey, you know how Melee did all those really cool things? Yeah, well done Melee for doing those really cool things. But also Melee was responsible for adding Pichu into the game, so actually fuck Melee. It's maybe a little harsh, but I remember the enjoyment I felt unlocking all these hidden characters like Dr. Mario and Red Marth, and putting Pichu in there too was a bit of a strange choice, but I'm down for it. I don't even mind if they make him the worst character in the game. Oh come on, I was kidding, no! Well, every fighting game has its joke characters, and it's been confirmed that Melee's Pichu was designed to be exactly that, but I find it odd that of all the Smash Bros games to put a joke character in, it's the one the community holds in extremely high regard for its levels of optimization. Most of Pichu's attacks will inflict a small amount of damage to itself, which adds up very quickly when you're engaged in a somewhat close battle. Pichu is also the lightest character in the game, which causes a lot of problems should you get hit by any decently strong attack, since you probably won't live to tell the tale. For the longest time, Pichu is where you went if you wanted to impose a handicap on yourself by playing as the worst character in any Smash Bros game. Brawl Ganondorf may be excluded. But Pichu also made it into Ultimate and is actually viable now? What kind of voodoo bullshit is this? Who here remembers Smash Run? Yeah, it was a great little extra mode exclusive to the 3DS version of Smash 4 that harkened back to some of the more chaotic moments from Brawl Subspace Emissary, while also having that fun arcade-like upgrade system where you can feel your character become stronger as you obtain more stat boosts. It's a shame then that it didn't make it out of this game, but it does help make Smash Bros 3DS feel unique, especially when you consider what the Wii U version got instead. I played way more of Smash Tour than any one man should ever be subjected to because I was trying really hard to work out what it was trying to do. It's this weird blend of styles and tones that seems to favour a more random party-focused way of enjoying Smash Bros, which is perfect if you have 3 people over and would rather play something that is significantly messier than a standard free-for-all. It's trying to be Mario Party with these board events and items, but while it may function better than the Mario Party games of the time, it's a very far cry from the simpler and more conventional ways of playing Smash Bros. It's trying to reinvent the wheel by removing spokes and making it out of tissue paper. It's just not worth the effort. One of the main reasons why World of Light in Smash Bros Ultimate works so well is that it takes the base idea of Smash Bros and merely changes it ever so slightly, and in some cases enhances it, so it's the same game, just a little bit different. Smash Tour basically throws it all out the window and says, you want to do random things? We can do random things all day, and that's kind of dumb. It's no one's favourite part of any of these games, why would you do that? I still remember being concerned about assist trophies. They came in with Brawl and Final Smashes and signaled a dramatic shift in focus on what Smash Bros could be if all the items were turned on and hellfire was raining down from the heavens. In reality, they're quite wonderful and offer a route into Smash Bros for any characters who can't quite make it in as fighters. My concern is that they dominate the action too much and be too game-changing, which I'm very happy to say isn't the case with most assist trophies. But then the dice roll doesn't quite work out, and instead of getting something useful, you're left with a dog adorably clawing at the 4th wall. Fuck you, you piece of shit! Though I am very pleased to see Nintendogs in Smash Bros, especially in a capacity where you can't interact or hurt them, because why would you ever want to do that? Leave the violence for the Duck Hunt dog, he fucking deserves it! Summoning a Nintendog from an assist trophy will do very little to help and do an awful lot more to hinder everyone, which I feel is not exactly contributing to the assist portion of that item. It's false advertising, take it away! There's been a lot of items throughout Smash Bros history that have worked like this and provided more of a general problem for everyone to deal with, but there's just something about the Nintendogs that annoys me a bit more. Probably because they're so goddamn adorable that I shouldn't be angry at this, but oh god, I really am. I'm a monster and I'm okay with that. Make them playable in the next one, alright? On the subject of items that don't help you out as much as you think they would, I was surprised to find out that there's been quite a few of those in Smash Bros. You've got obvious contenders like the Mini Mushroom and Fake Smash Ball that punish overly keen players, But Melee also had the Cloaking Device, which I think is supposed to be helpful. You could have fooled me. I only recently found out that the Cloaking Device never made it out of Melee, which should have been obvious, because I imagine that I would have noticed if it had turned up in Brawl and Beyond. The memories would flood back and I'd develop a nervous twitch. This version of a Cloaking Device is taken from Perfect Dark, which is a first-person shooter, and you might notice the big difference that invisibility has in a third-person environment compared to looking through someone else's eyes. You can't see me, but that's okay because I can barely see myself. And I wondered if this was still an issue for me many years later, but thankfully, Ultimate has a few matches against spirits where you or your opponent periodically turn invisible, and yeah, I still hate it. Apparently being invisible also makes the user invulnerable because you won't take any damage, but you'll still sustain knockback as you get launched across the screen and inevitably lose track of where you are. I remember Melee had that event match where Fox and Falco were both invisible, and it took me a stupid amount of time to beat this. Why would you ever willingly inflict this on yourself with an item? I wouldn't do this to my worst enemy. It's one thing when an item is a pile of crap in Smash Bros, but it's something entirely different and more disturbing when the balance is so janky that developers have allowed something way too strong to slip in undetected. I'm thinking back to Meta Knight in Brawl and yeah. This right here? You've got to stop this because I'm gonna have a hard time enjoying everything else if your stupid overpowered thing becomes an ever-present force of nature that dominates tier lists for years to come. The Gust Bellows didn't shape the metagame in the same way that Meta Knight did, but it is very annoying to deal with. And you'll never guess what this video is all about. As much as I love seeing more items from The Legend of Zelda make it into Smash Bros, I think we didn't need any additions that affect the pace of play as drastically as the Gust Bellows. In Skyward Sword, it gently pushes dust out of the way and lets you screw around with baby spiders, but in Smash Bros, it's a goddamn hurricane that whisks you off the stage in double quick time. And there's lots of other items that act in a similar way to this, but they give you a chance to get out of it. The Gust Bellows do their thing so fast that you've barely got enough time to react, and if you're playing as a character who hasn't got the best recovery in the world, you're as good as dead, my friend. Any item that is this brainless, I don't want to know about it. Those competitive smashers might have a point. I'm really glad that Pokemon has gotten so much love from Smash Bros over the years. It's meant that for any character who hasn't been able to squeeze into the roster of playable fighters, there's every chance that they might end up a part of the very large array of Pokemon that might pop out of a Pokeball. I love how this item is implemented and has been expanded on with more and more Pokemon every time. They can be game-changing, but you're dancing with random chance here, and for every legendary you might get that covers the battlefield with bullshit, Goldeen is waiting just around the corner. I do admire the restraint from the Smash Bros developers to not include Magikarp in any game doing what Magikarp does best, which is nothing. Instead, that role is occupied by Goldeen, who immediately uses Splash when summoned from a Pokeball, which does nothing. I get that this is the balancing act that this item works with, but did they have to make Goldeen one of the most common Pokemon in every Smash Bros game? It's a joke and I know it's funny, but it's also massively disappointing considering what else you could have gotten instead. What did you get for Christmas, Timmy? Tuberculosis? Oh, that's terrible. You could have gotten a new bike, but luck wasn't in your favor, I guess. I need to work harder on my analogies. So, maybe if you were stretching things far enough and had sufficient talent to know where your character was, I guess you could make the argument that the Cloaking Device is potentially wonderful in some way. However, and I accept that these items are very similar in execution, I would have a very heated discussion with anyone who thought that the Smoke Ball is a wonderful addition that improves gameplay and enriches your life. Because it's a ball that produces coloured smoke that makes it hard to see what's going on, and these developers are really talented and creative, and yet they made this? How? Is there a tactical benefit to using the smoke ball? As far as I can see, it's very similar to the Cloaking Device, except you can throw it and inflict this irritating level of invisibility that benefits no one in particular to an opponent. It has pretty colours and bounces around a bit, but apart from that, it's just another way of obscuring someone's view, which I realise is a bit of a running theme, considering that I also don't like the Nintendogs taking up so much room. If I stood up in front of you and blocked the screen while you were trying to play Smash Bros, I wouldn't blame you if you threw things at me. I can't even do that with smoke balls, so just remember that things could always be worse. And so we arrive at that portion of the video where I complain about luck again. I've got a chip on my shoulder about it, and all I can do is express myself very angrily online in the form of videos that some people watch. Smash Bros, especially if you turn the items off, is mostly devoid of luck, and players who are genuinely good at the game tend to see the results that they deserve. Smash Bros may have been a little unrefined at the start, but every game since then has made real strides to remove luck as a factor. Except for Brawl though. Brawl decided that characters should sometimes fall over. Why? Honestly, I'm at a loss there. I can only think that the powers that be decided that the standard flow of fighting needed more random occurrences, and that characters should fall on their asses from time to time because entertainment is good. There are ways of inducing tripping through using certain moves, which I'm not too hung up about, but the random tripping, which comes about from a 1% chance every time you start dashing or change direction, that's some actual bullshit right there. You trip, you end up leaving yourself hideously exposed to your opponent, and you curse ever playing Brawl again. Did you know that this feature never returned after Brawl? Did you also know that uncontrollable bad luck in a game which is mostly based around skill will make a man very, very angry? Just checking in case you don't know. This is RabbidLuigi, and unlike most of the rest of this video, I can rest easy knowing that Brawl's tripping is almost universally hated. There's no, tripping sympathizers baying for support for this unappreciated game mechanic because it's disrupted competitive play in the past, and everyone has kind of agreed that it's terrible. What I'm doing accidentally here is creating a sense of togetherness through negativity. You can make a religion out of this.